All right, welcome everybody to Stock Analysis Friday. It's great to have you here. Today is already April 29th, 2022, almost into May. My name is Bennett McDowell with TradersCodes.com. All right, so a few administrational items before we start digging into the charts. Just a couple of quick things. Please type in on using the comments area on whatever platform you're watching. We're broadcasting out to YouTube, LinkedIn, and Facebook. So type your questions in and basically, stock symbols you want to look at, type those in caps. That's really important. That helps me see them and read them a lot easier. We pretty much stay focused on stocks and ETFs. All right, I try to accommodate everybody. And sometimes these sessions last a half an hour. Sometimes they go to a full hour, depending on how many stocks we have to go through. So I try not to do too much of a time limit thing. It's more here for us to share ideas. Now, that brings us to another point. You're going to find some probably pretty good stocks here. So the more people that come and participate, the more opportunities we can uncover. All right, let me go through quickly some of the administrational items. And of course, I have to start with the risk involved in trading. It is possible rather to lose part or all of your money trading the financial markets. This is why you want to use risk capital when you open up an active trading account. But that applies to investments too. I mean, there's a lot of people out there that have lost a lot of investments, even if we go way back to 2007, right? But we want to make sure you understand the risks and also understand that we work in a realm of probabilities. So there's no guarantees. You have to use really good risk control. And of course, we're going to share a lot of ideas here. So please run those by your financial advisor or whoever manages your money to be sure any of the stocks that we uncover today are suitable for you. We don't know your personal situation, and of course they do. So that's why we want you to contact them before actually allocating any real money to any of the trade ideas. All right, new book out this week, or actually last week, but new hardcover book out. You got to find it over here. All right, so here it is, hardcover book, Money Management for Traders. Get this book. It's a whopping, what is it, 20 bucks or something, maybe even less than that. It's the price of Starbucks or lunch. This book is worth a lot more than lunch today. All right, go out and get this book. This will save your butt when it comes to risk control. Great book, highly recommend it. All our other books, of course, are excellent, but that's our newest one dealing with the current market situation. All right, a couple quick things on our trading software tools. Like I always say, if you are not using the proper tools when you're trading the markets, you're throwing darts at a dartboard, but you're blindfolded. Okay, you got to have the right tools to trade this business. We have a variety of tools that I've developed over the last 30 years of doing that. That's right, 30 years I've been doing this. So a long time. Now we have tools at the top tier here. I'm going to circle those. These are our charting platform tools. And it consists of the applied reality trading that looks at price patterns. You're going to see charts today where you see these pyramid triangles on the chart. That's the ART software. It's identifying key levels of support and resistance in the markets that we use for entries and risk control. It also puts on the chart actual pivot points represented by 1B and 2Bs, and those are used for scaling out as well. So the ART software, when you think of ART, think of price pattern identification. OWL, PTF, TLM, and ERI are all indicators at the bottom of the chart. OWL looks at momentum and Elliott wave. PTF indicates whether a significant spike in the market, all right, created a pattern where there's a high probability of the market returning and making either new highs or new lows, depending on the direction of the spike. And then the TLM is our trend line master, which draws trend lines automatically on your charts. Put the ribbon at the bottom for easy identification as well. And then finally, the emotional reader index measures fear and greed in the markets. When markets get manic, prices hyperbolically get away from the trend line. That's when the ERI kicks in. Multiple time frame scanners. We have scanners at the bottom here that we use to actually uncover trades, both in intraday, day trading, as well as in position trading. Doesn't matter if it's stocks, it doesn't matter if it's bonds, as long as you can get the data into the platform that you choose to use and is compatible with our software, you're good to go. We have the multiple time frame scanner, the trade confirmer scanner, the turbo scanner, and the Elliott wave. And then finally at the bottom, all right, we have our risk control software. You cannot trade the market successfully without risk control, period. Okay, don't even try it. You have to know how to put stops in place. You have to know how to allocate your trading capital to certain trades. You have to know how to do position sizing. And of course, that's the same as trade sizing. We have software that does that for you, all the way from the trader's assistant for record keeping and stock analysis, all the way down to the risk to reward and trade size calculator used for position sizing and your risk and reward. So check out that software on our website. We got the link down there running in the banner right now. All right, and then finally, before we get going, please like us, subscribe us, or share to us. Okay, we want to get as many people here each and every week as we can, and basically how we do that is through you, by liking us and telling other people about it. So definitely help us out there. All right, well, now it's time to get into it. All right, I'm going to start out with crude oil first. I'm looking at comments here. Good morning, everybody. Good morning. Good morning. Great to have everybody here. All right, I'm going to start out with USO, and go ahead and type your stocks in that you want me to look at right now, including ETFs if you want, and type those in caps. I'm going to start out with oil because that's usually always on everybody's mind, especially when they go fill their car, right, or home heating oil. Some people in Alaska, of course, are still doing that, while other people, of course, are using natural gas for their oil, for their heating. Okay, so what do we got cooking here? Well, I think you cannot look at this chart and not say bullish trend in place. And it has been really since last April. All right, so we had a bottom here, which was significant. There's these little pyramid trading points that we talk about that the ART system does. So this entry would have been here, stop here, and then you trail your stops up like that. And here's one forming here. So when you see these little triangles on the chart, that's the ART system. This is the owl down here, measures momentum and Elliott wave. This is the PTF, looking for spikes in the market for more highs or more lows. We have the trend line ribbon down here, as well as trend lines being drawn here and here. And then the ERI down here with the greed bars and the fear bars right there and there. Another quick thing too, notice I have my charts or my platform set up in a variety of different ways, but this way I have it today is 60-minute chart here. I have the daily chart here, the weekly chart here, and my risk to reward trade size calculator over here. Okay, so that's how I have it set up. This is our scanners running up here at the top, and that gives you a little layout situation. Now, also too, if we're looking at futures, which occasionally we day trade futures, these are our day futures markets that we day trade on a very short time frame, 1 minute, 15 second, and 5 minute for you day traders out there. But today we're going to focus on stocks. All right, so USO, great trend. We've got, notice a couple things going on here. We have a green PTF and green owl and bullish pyramids. The problem with this though is that we've already had 4 pyramids in a row. Looks like we're forming the 5th here. A little late to get into this. Wait for a pullback. Notice here we have green here. We have more highs coming, 75% probability here. Find the highest high in the green area. And that is what we expect to see in terms of more highs, just based off that indicator. Now you could draw fibs, you could draw fib retracements and get more precise target levels on certain configurations or price movements. But this has been going on for quite some time. So you got to be careful not to chase this market. We may get a correction here, and you may want to get into the correction. On the 60-minute time frame on the far left, notice we just now have a sliver of green here. So this turned from red to green now. So this is bullish as well. So we've kind of been in this channel. You can see these 2 yellow pyramids, one pointing up, one pointing down, isolating the larger channel here, but we also have a smaller one in at this level here. So let's see which way it breaks out. We might get another high, but if it breaks into a big correction, then if we draw some fib retracements here really quickly, let's draw them from here to here. We're talking about crude USO coming down, which is, oil, coming down to 64 to 49 bucks at some point. So one more high, we'll have to redraw the fib retracements. If it sells off from here, that's where it's going. All right, let's see what you guys want to look at here. All right. Let's see. I'm looking, boy, a lot of chats here. Let me just go through here. Gold. Okay, let's take a look at gold here. GLD. And gold has reached its target zone. pulled back a little bit, as you can see here in the lower time frames, but we still got some green PTFs here, so we're not done with highs on gold. And if we open up the weekly chart and get a bigger broad view of gold, we can see the 2011 high here. This is a wave 3, got a nice long ABC wave 4 down here, very clear actually. And now we're into 5. Here's our target zone for 5. And we had a little pullback, green PTF, green, we're heading back up. We should take this high out. So we see another high on gold, and we'll see how high it gets in its target zone. It could go to 229, or it could just get above this level here, go to 200, say, and sell off. We'll have to wait and see how it's going to go. But we're going to keep an eye on a variety of things to see what's cooking out there, and keep coming back every week. But gold's got one more high at this particular point. All right, let's see what else we got cooking here. How about silver? That's another one we get asked a lot about, is silver. All right, so silver here had a pullback, no question about it. Look at the 60-minute chart. Big move to the downside, and so far it looks like this bottom here is holding. So this is the kind of volatility you can get when you have a bottom like we've got in silver. So we're kind of expecting this thing to take off at some point. Got a green PTF, but so far no go. So what do you do with this? Well, wait for this to turn green because the momentum is still bearish. Wait for this to turn green, and you cannot have a red PTF on the lower 60-minute time frame on the far left. So that's indicating this move down is not over. We're going to go back down a little bit. So if you're in silver right now, you're probably in it because your stop is way at the bottom. That's a good thing. Leave it there. If you're thinking about going into it, wait. Wait until this 60-minute chart and the daily chart turn more bullish. Okay. All right. So let's keep moving on here. All right. So let me just get going here. We'll see what's good here. Okay. So here is X. Patricia, this is for you. Welcome. Good to have you here. All right, so on your stock here, let's take a look and see what's cooking on this. Interesting. Let's open up that weekly chart. That's kind of a messy one, right? See, it has these broad-based moves ever since the sell-off here. Broad-based, broad-based, broad-based. Tough one to trade, right? So, you could trade these little swings inside here and here, both to the long and down side. But this is a weekly chart. So let's just see what kind of it's uncovering here. All right, so where are we here? This owl is higher in momentum than this owl. So that means the move here had higher momentum than the move back here. So that is a form of an impulsive move, possibly free. We have a green PTF here. So even though we've had a pullback, there's a 75% probability based on just this one indicator that eventually we're going to return and go higher. Now, it's very important when we use the PTF indicator to realize that it's not going to tell us when the high is coming or how much of a pullback we're going to get. But basically, you can assume by that indicator being green that any pullback that we're having is a breath in the market and it should return and make higher highs. Now, this is a weekly time frame. So a breath here may seem like a more significant sell-off on a shorter time frame. So let's take a look and see what we've got cooking over here. Not so bad on the daily, okay, same type of thing. Notice here we do not have any green here or any green here, okay, only on the weekly time frame, but that's okay. All right, as long as there's green on one of the time frames, we know we're going to come back and make another high. So in this case here, notice we're still kind of pulling back. So we've got momentum bearish here, but as I said, no red PTF. So I think what you want to do, I don't know if you're long or short on this, considering a long position on this, wait until this turns green and this turns green. Okay, so I kind of would hold off on that. Let's take a quick look real carefully. I'm pretty sure we're in the fib retracement zone here. Yeah, you're pretty close to it right here. So it's very possible it could slide down to 28 or even 26 bucks before it's over. But in terms of watching it, watch for that momentum to turn. Okay, good one to look at. IWM, let's take a look at that bad boy. All right, so let's see what we got cooking on IWM. Of course, we looked at this last week, as you know, and it was still coming down. All right, so here it is back into the target zone again. And last week, I think we looked at this one and it was starting to head down with the bearish. So these are still bearish. We got a bearish pyramid here. Technically, we've got bearish owl here. We got a bearish owl here and a bearish owl here. So at the very least, at least the good news on this in terms of the trade. I don't know if you're long or short, but if you're short, you want to have your stops pretty close at this point because you're in the target zone for this retracement. Now, if you're looking for a long position, good news as well, because on this situation here, we've reached the target. We just got to wait for these charts to turn bullish, okay, as this marches up closer to green. So not quite yet a trade, okay? Are you long? I don't know if you're long or in that or thinking about it, okay? But in any case, that's something you can keep an eye on, but it's not quite ready yet. All right, Grayson, how are you? White Lion. Let's see. E&B short. Okay, E&B short. Let's take a look at that. All right, so what's cooking on E&B here? All right, so you're definitely going in the direction of the PTF on the weekly chart, but you do have a very, very strong bullish momentum going against you there. So you got to be a little careful when you're going against the momentum on the weekly chart. So right away, if I'm taking a position trade, that's using the daily chart primarily, I would probably cut my position size in half. Okay, that's what I usually do. In terms of momentum, it's bearish here. That's a good sign. We also took out this key level of support, and this is red as well. So what we're seeing now on the 60-minute time frame, which is kind of where you might want to also manage this trade a little bit. We've had a retracement and you hit that target zone and now it's moving down again. All right, this is still green, but you're already short. So I'm not sure where you have your stop at this particular point, but here's the way I would play this. If this takes another dip down and goes below here and this turns yellow, I would scale out a half of your position. Take a half off at that point. And then just keep your stop here. You'll have a nice break even and just leave the rest on to see if you can make it all the way down here. I mean, if you want to scale out a third, you can do that. Just depends. But definitely, if you're going for that target zone based on the weekly chart, you're going to be in this trade for a long time. So you kind of want to make sure that you watch your risk control on the way down. Now, with that said, you might be using options too. I know you like to use options. So if you're using options, you really have nothing to worry about, because if you do the options right, you only have a 2% risk anyway. So there you have it. Good one, though. Good one to be short on. All right, let's take a look at AVB for a short position. This is Grayson also. If I haven't gotten to you yet, just hang in there. We're going to get to you in just a minute. All right, give that a second to load. All right, what are you doing on this one? Let's see. I got to turn my head here and look at okay, you're short here. Look at the comments. All right, so you got red here, red pyramids there. Short positions looking pretty good. Still fairly bullish on the weekly chart. So you definitely want to play this using the lower time frames. So I think it's probably pretty good. I don't know what your target is on this one. But if you're using a short-term trade, 60-minute chart, you want to have your stop here. Otherwise, if you're using the minute chart, you want to put it up here. Now, here's the advantage of using multiple time frame analysis. If you're in the money here, in other words, doing really well with the trade, and you're really kind of not sure if we're going to take out a bottom here on your analysis or whatnot, so this could be a short-term trade, go ahead and scale out if you want. You can use the 60-minute chart for scaling too, which means take part of your partial position off. That's, a possibility on management. Now, if we look at the retracement possibilities here, which is probably what you're doing, then we can grab some fib retracements, run them up here. And if you're short, you're in really good shape because you probably got short a little while ago for the risk to reward. So you definitely want to keep your stop up here, because if this comes, you'll have B wave, right? And that's going to come up and then C wave. So basically, are your intentions trading A wave down here or staying all the way to here? And if it's all the way to here, then you definitely want to have your stop here. If you're trading A wave, use the 60-minute chart, okay? All right, good one. Let's keep going here. GOOG, let's take a look for John at Google. And just give that a second to load. All right, so Google looks like it's still marching down, all right, to its target zone. Now, we drew this in a while ago. Here's the wave 4 target zone. I'm going to open this up a little bit so you can see it better. Give me 1 second. All right, so, you know, what I love about looking at charts like Google is there's no mistaking a wave 3. That's a wave 3 if you're an Elliott wave person. There are 5 waves in a trend. So right now, looks like probably we're here, 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 heading down for the bottom of wave 4. All right, this has to be read for a wave 4, and it is. The owl's telling us accurately that that's a wave 3. So look, it's looking pretty good in terms of structure for Elliott wave. So basically, when it hits this area here, you want to look for a long trade, but you want to time it using multiple time frame analysis so you don't catch a falling knife, okay? Because it could come down and go as low as 1768 and still be within a normal target zone. So you got to be careful here, okay? Now, let's take a look here at the daily chart. Here it is coming down. We no longer have a red PTF. That's kind of interesting. We did hit, please note that we did hit a target. So it did reach the target zone. It's just usually it kind of goes a little further in there. So let's see what happens. This is pretty steep still here. So I say it's still coming down. You have a nice pyramid here to put your stop if you are short. If you're not, don't go long yet. This is still extremely bearish. You're getting a little bit of a correction here on the 60, but with this bearish, I'm assuming any move to the upside on the 60 is temporary. So we got to wait to see when a bottom is more definitively revealed. And if this turns bullish and this remains bullish, then we certainly could have a bottom. But that's not the case right now. So let's look at this next week. All right, good one for now. All right, so Patricia, let's see, shorter term daily. So you're looking at the 60-minute on that one we looked at. Okay, good. Very cool. Let me know if you have any further questions on that one, okay? All right, so TRP, because I can always go back to a chart if you need more help with it. TRP, let's take a look at that one. And let's see who this one's for. Okay, white line, this is Grayson. How are you again, Grayson? Okay, so here we are. All right, so in this case here, right away what jumps out at me is the red PTF on the chart on the right, which represents the long-term weekly chart. So here's the target zone at some point. Now, we still have a bullish uptrend in place, okay, because if you connect the bottom, there it is. The shorter term trend has been taken out. All right, and now the big question I think here also is, let's see what's cooking here. Did we take this top out? And it looks like we certainly did, didn't we? Let's open this up. Kind of a roly-poly, messy one here too. So I'm focusing on this top here. We took that out, and we even took out the top back here, which is a little higher. So that's kind of interesting, okay? So we came up, we took the top out, we're seeing some movement back to the downside. We still have a very strong owl. So when you have a strong owl and a negative PTF, basically at this particular point, you don't want to go short yet on this time frame. Got to wait, because we could make one more high before we start selling off. So let's take a look at the shorter time frames. You can see probably a fairly decent trend up at this time. Movement down on the 60, we're definitely pulling back. So I would say, before getting excited about a short position, I would say at this time, take a look at the charts over here. We got to take out some key levels of support before we start aiming for this target down here. So I don't think I would use the daily chart at this point to go short. Certainly, you got to wait for a red owl on the 60-minute, but on this here, I would base this more off of here because this is so strong, Okay, got to take that out first before considering it. So any short trade here, I think is going to be trouble. Long trades don't like to go against the trend, okay, for sure. So if it pulls back more, you got to wait again. So not one of my favorites at this point. There's too many contradicting situations going on, and it's not a very super clear chart. All right, so that's my opinion on TRP. And you know, when I come across a chart that is not clear, then chances are it's on some type of corrective series on a higher Elliott wave chart. And so I avoid it. I just move on. There's so many stocks and ETFs out there. Why waste your time on stuff that's marginal? Try to find that really good needle in the haystack, and you can do that by looking for some really good ones. All right, now, also too, I'd like somebody out there to keep track of what we're going over in terms of when we find a really good one, write it down, because what we try to do at the end of the session today is find one or two good opportunities to share with everybody. So be thinking about what's good in terms of the best ones. So at the end of the session, we can go over those. All right. So thank you very much for that one. ATEC is our next one. The more we look at, the more we can uncover. Okay. So on this one too, let's open up this weekly chart. So we've had a nice move up after a fairly large move down. Let's put enough price bars so we can see this type of movement down from, way around over 100 down to 11 bucks. And that's after the big pull up, right? So this baby went down into the single digits. Now it's moving up. All right. So what do? Is this a retracement and we're moving back down, or are we going to go back up? That's the $1 million question. And a good question at that. Looks to me, I think probably you've got some more room to the upside, even in a worst case scenario. Because let's just say this trend down actually is not over. It's going to go back down. Well, worst case scenario is you're probably going to get up to 18 bucks and we're at 11. So you already reached that once. Okay. So you do have to be a little careful. We might have already hit it. That is possible. So we got to be a little careful here. But you do have a bullish owl. So that makes it a little more difficult, the fact that we did hit the target zone. So I'm not so sure we're going much higher with this. And we are pulling back on both the daily and, of course, the 60-minute chart is pretty bearish. So again, not my favorite. Okay. I would look for a better one. But certainly thank you for sharing that. Okay. Let's go here. Earl, welcome. First time here, he says. Great to have you here. We try to have a lot of fun here. Okay. So that's kind of the idea. KHC. Having fun and uncovering some great opportunities. Doesn't get any better than that, right? All right, let's see what we got cooking on this. Let me just adjust these down here. All right, so we looked at this one before, and we kind of felt that it was heading into a target zone, and it certainly is not done yet. It's still heading in that direction. So it reached the target zone here, and this target zone is a little higher in the long term, so it looks like we're going to reach that one. So I would say anywhere from 48 bucks to 65 bucks is possible on this before it's over, and we're at 43. So, we do have a green PTF, trend is up, and we have bullish momentum. But the PTF is not really helping us in terms of having a target that far away from where prices are. Because if you take the highest high, it's basically, kissed it here, but didn't go above it. So that's not going to help you. Same thing here. I mean, it's only here. So, and that's already in the target zone. So I would probably not be looking for a long trade here at this point. If you had gotten in earlier, great. But right now you're a little too close to the target. And so your risk to reward's not that great. Okay, so that's kind of the way. Now, the other thing I would look to do, however, on KHC is if you give it a little more time, let it get solidly into this area, look for momentum to turn bearish and bearish here, and get rid of this green PTF. That needs to be yellow. This needs to be yellow or red, and then look for a short trade. So I'd say KHC, you can put on a watch list for a possible short trade, but you're going to have to probably wait a couple months. All right, that's KHC. All right, let's see what we got here. Good morning, Aggie. Okay, great. Let's see. Okay, AGCO. Let's take a look at AGCO. Hey, Gene, since you're out there, why don't you keep track of the ones that we like the most as well, okay? Just so at the end, we know what is good and what's not. All right, so this is kind of an interesting one. So I'm going to take a look at the weekly chart here. So notice that this peak up here created a bullish PTF at the same time it was established as a major impulsive wave. So let's just see real quick, because we're starting to move back up again, even though we pulled back a little bit. Let me just run the numbers here. All right, so we hit the target zone. That's a good thing. We've got the wave 4 red owl. You have to have a red owl for wave 4. We got that. We got it green back for wave 5. Okay, so 3, let's see the clarity. A, actually down to here. B, C, nice. Okay, nice and clear. Pyramid entry with a stop here. You had a pullback here, not uncommon after the first big move up. So that could be a 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 to finish 5, because there's 5 waves in wave 5. So I'm liking this for a long trade. All right, so it looks good on the weekly, but let's see about the timing on the shorter time frames. Aha. Okay, so here's the issue with this. You got a red owl here. This is green. That's good. That's kind of like having that green PTF is indicating that we're going to have more highs. So we expect that for a wave 5, right? In other words, it's still moving up on the weekly chart. However, short term, we have a lot of bearishness down here. So what do? Got to wait. All right, we're probably going to go one more time down below this price bar. Is it possible it could make a lower low in here? Sure. That's why you don't want to go in yet. It's also possible it could just go slightly below this price bar and turn around. So at this particular case, if you're long, keep your stop in the pyramid, which is over here. If you're thinking about going long, you got to wait. Okay, so AGCO, great for a watch list, very close. Could be a great trade within a week or two, maybe a couple more than that. But this is one that's going to be good, but not quite yet. All right, let's take a look at MGA. Overall market today is down about 288 points. So not too bad. You know, it's interesting with the Dow these days and all the indexes. They've gone up so much that, you know, you see a day when it's down 500 or 600 points, and that's kind of almost a normal thing. Down, up, down, up. A lot of volatility here in the markets, and that's why you have to be very careful about your stop loss placements, not putting them too close in certain trades. You know, if you go back 20 years ago, a 600 point drop would be like, oh my gosh, tremendous. Today, not so much. Okay, so when it gets over 1,000, then you can take notice. All right, so let's take a look at MGA. All right, another interesting one here in a pullback scenario that's not quite done. So you got to wait on this one. So could you have a long trade? Yes, but for right now, no go. What about a short trade? Possible. I'd probably draw in a quick target based on the daily chart on this. For an extension, let's see where I want to put that. Let's just draw it from here to here, somewhere around there. But I'm not so sure the top is in. And why do I say that? Because we have a green PTF here. So I think it's still correcting. I think it's going to come up a little further. So I would just either trade the 60-minute or to the long side. But I don't think you have much opportunity there as well, because you're fairly close to a retracement target there. Let's just draw that in real quick. Yeah, you see, pretty close already here. So I kind of would not do anything with this. All right, I'd wait for it to get up a little higher maybe, and maybe a short trade, quickly one more downward, and then cover, and you might even get a longer trade after that. All right, so that is MGA. Let's keep going here. All right, how about ABC? Let's see what we got. ABC. Let's take a look at that one. Who is this one for? Joe, how are you, Joe? Okay. All right, so how about a short on ABC? All right. Well, let's open up that weekly chart, okay? What a spike. Now, this is a great one to look at because this could happen with gold too. Remember gold had the spike back in 2011? Well, this is, 2015. So if you didn't know what happened here, our system had qualified this as a wave 3. Look at the hump here. That would have been a 3, and that would have been looked at as a 4, and we would have been in 5, right? But now look what's happened. The owl here now is higher than here. So this technically is wave 3. The nice thing about trading wave 5 when this happens is that you're already long. So you have two possibilities that unfolded, both resulting in the same trade direction. So when a 5 turns into a 3, that's hitting a home run. That's like a grand slam. You just stay with the trade. So in a case like this, you have a very, very, very bullish owl here and a very, very bullish PTF. So any pullback at this point, you have to look at this as just a temporary pullback. Okay, Joe? So you got to be careful with shorting the market here. I would not short it based on this. Let's just see if there's any time frame below us that could be a possible short. All right, this is showing we're going into maybe a wave 4. All right, so we're going to have a little bit more of a pullback here. This would be a minor 4 inside the weekly chart, not a major 4, because you'd have to have a red owl on the weekly chart for it to be a major 4. However, it looks like we're going to go into a red owl on the daily chart for a wave 4. So this would be a major 4 on the daily and a minor 4 so far on the weekly. Hopefully I didn't confuse the heck out of you. All right, so now what do we got cooking on this bad boy? Should you short it? Well, we did take out a key level of support here. Okay, that's a good sign. So any long positions have been covered. If we look at this chart here, we do have some pyramids pointing down and we have bearish owl. So what could you do? If you wanted to go ahead and take a short trade based on the 60-minute time frame, you certainly could do that. All right, calculate your trade size and take the short. But realize that you need to be pretty quick in spotting if the market reverses and goes back up, because the two longer time frames are still bullish. What I like about a possible short position here is you'd be getting in early for a wave 4 correction, right? And that's almost red. So I see the merits of a short trade. I think if I was trading to the short side, I would probably lower my position size a little bit because I'm going against such a strong momentum on the weekly chart. More often than not, if you don't do the right timing on a trade like this, it ends in a loss. When you go against the strong momentum on a long-term chart, it increases the risk greatly. But I'm not saying you don't have a valid reason for a short trade here, because actually you do. And thanks to the 60-minute chart. Okay, so ABC. All right, let me go back to, okay, TECK. TECK. And this again is for Patricia. All right, let's see what we got cooking on this one here. Nice move to the upside. Again, this is kind of one that's tough to figure out a target, because if anything here, let me just see. Yeah, you had a big movement up here, but then you had a complete falling out of bed here. Then another big movement. Look at that. Very hard to know. We're going all the way back to 2003, what the Elliott wave count on that is. I mean, this is not your normal, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. This would be considered like the ABC XYZ type of count. All right. Usually when I have those, I don't trade them. But in any case, let's take a look at the current impulsive move, which is right here. All right. So this is showing a 3 on whatever corrective wave or impulsive wave this is. This is definitely an impulsive wave, but you can have an impulsive wave inside a long-term corrective wave. So that is definitely an impulsive wave. Probably at this point here, still a strong owl. So a little premature to draw in-fib retracements. The stop for this based on here is here at this point, and this is the weekly chart. All right, let's see what the daily chart shows us. All right, so now we've got a red momentum on the daily chart, so we're breaking down on the daily chart here. Of course, it could turn back, but we still have a red PTF on the 60-minute. So it's not done coming down. Even though this is a very bullish price bar on the weekly, the lower time frames tell a different story. So it's still coming down. So your target is here, okay? But you have green owl here. So here you could trade a short trade to the 60 when this turns red. Just this would be your target, and wherever this crowns and rolls over will need to be your stop, and then you need to calculate the risk to reward to see if it's 2 to 1 to make it to the PTF target zone. Okay. All right, so hopefully that helped you. All right, as far as a long position, wait. Okay. Wait until the 60-minute chart is not bearish. So let's look at that again next week. You also have a bearish momentum here. So I'd be a little suspect of going long here. Now, if this abruptly turns from red to green, well, then we'll change our stance because that'll change this as well. But don't forget, even if you take a long trade here, okay, you still have to be careful because we've had what, 1, 2 pyramids, 3, 4, almost 5, 6 pyramids in a row. So, you know, it doesn't, I'm not saying it's not going higher, but the risks increase when you get in late on a trend. That's my only thing. All right, let's see what else we got cooking here. And then, of course, it depends if it's a long-term investment or a quicker trade. All right, so let's see. RIG. This is for John. Hello, John. All right, let's take a look at this bad boy. Boy, this is messy. I hate to say it, but when I see a chart kind of like this messy, I kind of like step back. I have to take a look at the longer stance, the time frame here. Okay, so this has come down quite a bit, kind of meandering along the bottom. Problem with these meanderings, you know, this certainly could be a bottom. There's no question about it. The problem is that, you know, it's gone nowhere for a good year. So when you trade a long-term chart, you've got to be prepared for being in that position for a long time. And a weekly chart's a long-term chart. All right, so what do you do now? Well, you have green here, but you've had this oscillating owl. So it's still stuck in a channel. So I wouldn't take any of the pyramid trades until we break out of this channel. So I would keep the gunpowder, so to speak, in the barrel right now. In terms of the daily chart, showing we should have some pressure to the upside, but not before a little bit more downside. Why do I say that? Because of this. So short-term 60-minute, we're still heading down. And it may just go down a little further. Okay. Then after this turns yellow, and if this stays green, then we should see a shift in momentum back to the upside. So I wouldn't be surprised if you see that. But again, you know, unless you're playing a time decay option here, I don't really see, you know, anything to be too excited about. Okay. All right, let's keep going here. Thanks for sharing that, though. CLX. CLX. Okay, let's take a look at this bad boy here. All right, so here's an interesting situation here developing. Not saying it's a trade yet, but it's developing. So we've had a nice long slide to the downside all the way since the middle of 2020, okay? So it's come down quite a bit already. There's your wave 3, and there's your wave 4. Let's just draw some fib retracements in here and see. I think that's probably a broad base 2 there. So we're smacking that target zone. Okay, gotta love that, right? So when I see something like this is really good. I put this on a watch list because once wave 4 is over, then we can take a long trade. All right. So based on this, you're probably really not looking at a short trade because you're in the target zone. You're looking to get ready for a long trade. Doesn't mean it can't come down again. We're going to look at the short-term charts, but that's kind of the way I'm seeing this right now. So this would be a 3, 4, 5. Now, let's just take a look at the short term. Okay, and here it is, short-term chart, daily chart, red PTF. So we're probably going to go down one more time. Okay, we're not quite done yet. We're probably going to go into that target zone. Now, if you had a red owl here, but you don't, then this is where the PTF is saying there's a possible 75% probability of going lower than this price. So probably at this point here, if we, had a red owl and you could put your stop here, you'd almost have a 2-to-1 in your favor for a short trade. So at that particular point, if you wanted to scalp using the PTF indicator, you could do that. So you could go short on this, but you'd immediately cover as soon as you go below here. That would be okay. But in terms of looking for a more broad-based trade on this, you kind of want to wait for, I think, a long trade. So let me just draw quickly some fib extensions just for fun. So if this is a high, yeah, you're possibly a bottom in here, but it's a little premature to draw that in because of the fact that we still have a green owl, okay? So I would kind of, those are the two plays on that. Watch list for a long. All right, Gene's saying click the like button. The more likes we get, I guess the more YouTube likes us. AVTR, AVTR. Okay, and this is for Grayson. Just as a side note, if you come back and watch the recording, what we do is we segment the recording into chapters. So we list the stocks that we looked at, and you just click on the link, and it takes you right to the section in the recording video of where that stock is. It's really cool. It's called a timeline on YouTube. Not everybody can do that. I don't know if you can do that on Facebook or anything like that, but on YouTube, you certainly can do it. Now, you have to click on the description and then show more to see that, okay? Just so you know. All right, let's see what's cooking on this one. All right, so this one is interesting. AVTR, not too much history, but that's pretty conclusive here on a wave. I'm going to draw this one for here. So we're smacking the target zone. We still have a fairly bearish owl. So this is wave 4. This is great that this is green. So that shows that 3, 4, 5. So the clarity on this is pretty good on the weekly chart. What's the clarity? I can easily spot a hyperbolic wave 3 corresponds with the owl. Check. Check mark. All right, we've got an ABC correction that we have to see if it's over or not, but that's nice and clear too for a wave 4. Another check mark. We have a bearish owl on the weekly chart representing wave 4, check mark. So now all we need is wave 5. All right, for fun, let's quickly just draw a basic target zone, and the target zone sits even higher than the PTF situation. All right, now let's see if this correction is over yet. Let's go to the daily chart. I'm not going to draw the fibs. Fibs are going to be basically the same. All right, so we still got a red owl. We still have not a big turnaround at all yet on the daily. We are starting to see a lot of bullishness come in on the 60-minute. Look at that. PTF and a green owl. So we may have put a bottom in here. I would wait until this turns green and you get a pyramid to the upside before taking a long trade. So this you definitely want to put on your watch list. I'm even going to write this one down because I'm going to watch this one too. So potential long trade, but the short-term daily chart's got to get a little more bullish first. And, don't forget, when, one of the things is if this is a bottom, all right, then we should see something move up and a pullback here. You're going to have plenty of opportunity to get in. You just got to be patient. And I find if you're more patient until the lower time frames are all in sync, your trade outcome is going to be much more enjoyable and much better. Okay, so patience as this unfolds. You're not going to miss it if you're keeping an eye on it. Okay, I really like that one, but not quite yet. AVTR. All right, so let's go ahead. Hello, Kevin. Oh my gosh, don't tell me I got to all of them here. Pretty close. No more? That's it? Did I miss any? I want to make sure I didn't miss any. Don't think I missed any. Let me see. You give me a second. Let me see if I can share one possibly with you from our market opportunity report, since I don't think we really found one today, right? So give me a second. Let me bring that up. Got to get to it first. Okay, hold on. Almost there. Oh boy, I'm not sure I have the current one here, but let me see. It's in a drive. Hold on one second. Oh, there it is. Okay. Stand by. See if we got cooking on that. All right, so here's our market opportunity report. Let me just thumb through this and move that over here. Okay, so let's see what we got cooking. I'm just going to run through a few, okay? KNSA, let's see what we got cooking on this. All right, so we're looking at this one, but again, red. We have a red owl now on this one. So kind of got to hold off on that. That's on our possibilities list. IBM. Let's see how that one's doing. This one was a short trade. And we're expecting this to come down now into this area here. But, now we have green PTF, so I don't know how much active that's going to be. Keep going on here. XLRE. All right, some of these we've been in a while. This is not too bad because we're still fairly far away from the target zone. So again, I'd probably wait a little while until this 60-minute chart turns bullish on this one. So if you're in it already, your stop's here. Okay, so you just hang tight. But for new entries, I would probably wait on that one. Let's see about PAAS. Well, I got to look at crypto today too. I like this one for a long trade, but again, you got to wait for the lower time frames to turn. Okay, let's take a look. Oh, I know what we want to do before we call it a day here. Let me go also to real estate, okay, for a second. But before I do that, I just want to bring up GBTC. All right, so cryptos. I'm usually always asked about cryptos. So on cryptos here, it seems like we're having a pullback right now. There is a big possibility we have a bottom in the crypto for Bitcoin. This is GBTC. So basically charts very similar on the futures as well. We have a little pullback in place. This is starting to turn a little more bullish over here. So we have to get above these pyramids. So again, like it was last week, if you're not in it, don't go in it yet. Hold off. If you're in it, you got to put your stop at the very bottom of what the low was back earlier this year. All right, we do expect it to get up to this area here at some point. So 3, 4, 5. But I'm not so sure that it's quite ready yet because it looks like it's kind of doing this before it does that. So we want to be careful that you're not having your capital tied up in this sideways motion, okay? All right, AMR. Let's take a look at AMR, and then I also want to take a look at a couple of the REITs, okay? Give that a second to load. Gotta love this one. This is one of these, another clarity ones, okay? Again, wave 3. When you see a wave 3, it just pops out at you, all right? System did a really nice job playing this. Your first entry would have been here as everything turned green down here. So then your stops would have been rolled up right here. So that would have been a nice trade since August of 2021. So you're still long this, okay, with your stop here. You still have a green PTF, but you know that can remain green even if you get a wave 4. Okay, so that's possible. So let me see. All right, so what do you do with this now? All right, do you go long? I would probably say no. I think it's too extended to go long. You will have an opportunity later on. You'll also possibly have an opportunity to even short it if you can time it right. But in terms of a possible retracement area here, you know, it could make one more high, but then it's going to probably sell off into this range here. Now, if it goes a little higher, which it could do, then we'll have to redraw these fibs, right? You'd have to take these and go over here. So that fib target zone can change. That's my point, based on if we make another high. But as you can see, we're seeing bearish divergence. Now, it's not uncommon to see one more hump and get triple bearish divergence, if not quadruple. But the problem is that there's more risk in a long trade here than doing nothing because you're playing Russian roulette. You're already in the target zone, I can tell you, for a wave 3. So you kind of want to wait on that. Okay. You're definitely in it, but I would wait for the retracement before I'd go long. Now, if you went in it now and you put your stop way down here, fine, but you're not going to do that because that's too much money to have out there. Okay. So I would hold off on that. Wait for the retracement or possibly a short trade at some point. Okay, so one last thing. Let's take a look at real estate ETFs. Now, real estate's kind of an interesting animal these days. All right. Anybody with a logical mind in real estate as a professional or not, and I used to own a real estate brokerage, so I kind of know the field a little bit. The logical mind kicks in and says prices are absolutely insane today. Okay. In terms of how much higher can they go? Well, you got to be careful when you say that because markets can go as high as they want to go. And the more doubt there is, the more healthier that it could go higher. So that's the other type of thing we got to think about. So let's think about what the market is telling us in terms of REITs. All right, one of the important things here is I think, yes, we're near a top, but this is interesting because we have a green PTF on this REIT. And most of the real estate funds have a green PTF on many of the weekly charts. So that's showing that we may get one more high on the REIT. So the target, the short-term target for a possible top is in this area here. So we may have one more push to the upside in real estate. Now, what's going to cause it to top eventually? Hard to know. Nobody has that kind of crystal ball. But, you know, rates are going up, but they've been historically low for a long, long time. So, you know, where they are now is still low. But the thing is, you've got inflation. This is what's kind of amazing about real estate. You have inflation now. So everybody, you know, hard assets like real estate are not only getting boosted by the inflation impact on those, but supply and demand. All right, there's still more demand than there is supply coming on the market. And so that really, is a seller's market still. Now, eventually, mortgages will get to a point where they, phase out a certain number of buyers, for sure, first-time home buyers. And you have mortgage companies that are going to say, enough on the prices already. Keep the appraisals low, and they do that, okay? They can kill a real estate market. If somebody's willing to pay, $1 million for a home, but the appraisal comes in at 800,000, then the buyer is going to have to make the difference, right? Okay, and they'll make the loan if you make the difference and meet the qualifications. But if the appraisals aren't coming in at the selling price, that's going to affect the movement of real estate, without a doubt. The other interesting things on the inverse REITs here is that the inverse REITs have a red PTF on the weekly chart. So an inverse REIT, like REK, for example, will go down if real estate goes up because it's inverse. So when you start to see the inverses and the regular REITs matching, that's a pretty good potential that we're going to see more highs on the REITs for real estate. So it's kind of interesting. If there's any brokers out there, let me know your thoughts on that. But certainly interesting thought. LEG, let's take a look at that one. And I guess we'll wrap it up here. I think this is the last one. And LEG, long or long? Okay. So I would probably not be long on LEG right now, because if you look at the 60-minute, you've got a red PTF. So you don't take a long pyramid when this is red. Okay, you got to connect the dots. Things have got to be in sync. This has definitely been going down for a while. Okay, so this little blip up you're seeing on the 60-minute chart is this. That's what you're seeing here. Okay, movement from there to there. But at this particular point, if this was not red over here, if this was, for example, yellow or green, then I would say, okay, possibly a long trade. Maybe this is a bottom, worth taking the trade. I'd wait for this pyramid to be stopped out. So I'd wait for prices to get a little higher there and then put my stop as low as I possibly could to maintain good position size. And the bottom line is you're trying to get in early on this next swing up, because this PTF is green saying we're going to go up above 60. So you got great potential here. You just want to make sure the timing's okay. So this is showing down a little bit lower than 35.50. So probably another move down into this area. So I'd wait, and when it breaks there, go. Okay. So definitely a watch list, but not a position right now. All right. That's the way I would look at that. All right. Well, I think that's it. We've been here an hour, and it goes quick. A lot of good trades. I don't see anything out there, unfortunately, right now that looks as a good entry. I saw things that were good before, but those have now gotten further along, and a lot of ones that put on the watch list. Anybody have any that they think were good today that I missed? All right, let me know, okay? So that type of thing. All right, yes, be sure to give us a like before you go. So one last little comment, because I see it coming up in here. We're coming out with a multiple time frame analysis scanner in May, next month, okay, which is right around the corner. And that's going to take a look. It's going to fit in the scanner of NinjaTrader's Market Analyzer, TradeStation's TradeStation, or Multi-Chart Scanner. So those are the three charting platforms it will work in. And what it's going to do is it's going to analyze, kind of like what we did here, 3 time frames. And when they're in sync, it's going to tell you. So there could be a trade opportunity you want to look at there. So it's going to make life a lot easier for finding good setups using multiple time frames. So we have a pre-release special price out there now. If you're interested, just let us know. Email us at sales@traderscoach.com, and we'll get back to you with a link on that. And if you're on our mailing list, you probably got the link already. But the idea with pre-release is that we're giving you a really big discount on that because of the fact that it's not ready yet. It won't be ready till next month. That's why it's pre-release. And also, too, we don't have a demo. There's no demo or screenshots yet. And then once we finish testing it, it will be released. So it's going to be released on or about the middle of May, but there may be a week, it may be a week later if we need to continue to test it. So the reason we give you this great price is for your patience while we get this thing ready and set up. It's going to be a great scanner. Can't wait to use it. I've used a prototype already, so we're kind of building on that, and it's coming along really nicely. So pretty excited about that. It's going to be a great addition to your scanning toolbox. Really super, especially if you use multiple time frame analysis. All right, well, I think that's it for the day. Okay, I want to thank everybody for being here. We'll have the recording available with the chapters in the recording, so you can find the stocks that we looked at today easily. And we'll see you back here next Friday. It will be May already, so spring is here. All right, almost going into summer. Days are getting longer. Gotta love that. All right, so thanks so much, everybody, for coming today, and we'll see you back here next week. Take care now.